The half-deckers of the Hunter fleet are either gunter rigged or have balanced lugsails. The gunter rig is similar to the gaff rig, except that the gaff is pulled up almost parallel to the mast. The balanced lug is a single sail. When we lower the mast on one of the half-deckers, what tends to happen is that the crutches move backwards as we're lowering the mast. So what I've done, I've just laid those a little bit forward, and then we tie those in at that angle, and that just counteract that movement as the mast comes down. What will happen when we lower the mast, the pivot point is quite low down on the half-decker, and the spars will actually move back as the mast comes down. That's the reason why we lent the crutches in a forward facing angle, and just to counteract that movement. We'll then undo the forestay and walk back with the mast and lower it down into the crutches at the back end. First, remove the gaff jaws and the boom gooseneck. Undo the mast gate. The half-deckers, like the cabin yachts, have two halyards. They have a throat halyard, which is permanently attached to the gaff, and the peak halyard, which has been made fast down to the pin rail there, because if we let that go, it will disappear up the mast and it will entail lowering the mast to retrieve it. So that's very important. Then comes back to the gaff and is made fast at that point there. Now with the gunter rig, this point of the spar nearly lays parallel with the mast when the sail is up. Balanced lugsail rig has its spars laying alongside the mast when the sail is up, and in as such it presents the problem of keeping those from moving away from the mast. We have achieved this by using the brails. The bottom one, which is the boom, is attached like so, and then when we come to the gaff spar, it presents a little bit more of a problem, in as much it has to be able to accommodate the sail going up. When the sail is up, the mast actually finishes there in relation to this spar, and the main halyard comes onto this point here, and this brail actually goes round the front of the mast and outside of all your halyards and back through here to hand, and when we hoist the sail up, this noose actually closes up and traps the spar against the mast before we start sailing. need to pull the sail up as far as we can with the main halyard. And what we want is that chain to be nice and tight, but it's difficult to tension it up enough with that one, so we've got an extra little set of purchase blocks on the bottom of that, which we can then finally tension it up with. If I pull down on that, that should finish up nice and firmly. And then finally, we'll pull on the top rail and make that fast onto the pin rail. Before we put the boot cover on, we need to raise the boom both ends so as to establish a nice reach for the cover so it sheds the water. To do so, the forward end, we'll take the main halyard and pass it round the two spars close to the tack strop or chain, whichever we like to call it, and make that fast. And then we'll take the main halyard and hoist that up until that chain is nice and tight. We'll then go to the back end, put the crutches in, when we put the cover on one of these, they have the collar goes round the mast, and there's a little piece of sail cover goes on the end of the spars at the forward end. We pull the cover over to the back end, and there's an additional little bit of sail cover at the back end. When we come to closing off the front of the cover with the two flaps at the front, we'll find that they are actually cut away there to actually come underneath the spars, not over top. So that piece comes underneath there and it laces down the front to the one on the other side. So if we take our lace, come through there, close the rest of the collar off, and then we come underneath the boom, lace those two together. All the way down to the bottom. And make that fast down the bottom end there. And that closes it off nicely like so. The sail cover covers that piece, and this piece covers the front of the boom.